Hello everybody, welcome to the next episode of New Earth TV Live on a special Sunday edition. Thank you everybody for being here. I had to take care of some other matters on Friday, so just decided to make this for Sunday today. So I'm very happy that you're all here. I had a wonderful time doing my vlog yesterday. That was the first time in a while that I was able to do a vlog episode, and it was very, very deep, and I was really amazed at how receptive of what was being shared was being received there. So thank you everybody for tuning into that and sharing your insight as well too. I felt it was just something that needed to be shared. I never really planned to do a video yesterday. It just kind of came up, and I said, you know what, I think it's good for me to do a vlog because this has been kind of brewing for quite a while, and just give my own 2 cents relating to the whole ploy agenda situation. So if you haven't checked out that vlog episode yet, it was up on yesterday. You can go ahead and check that out on my YouTube channel. But today we are here for New Earth TV Live. We are going to do some guided earth meditation. We are going to do some group healing. And of course, we're going to do some Q&A with Adronis and myself. So thank you, everybody. Good to see you all here. People from the UK, people from Texas and Copenhagen, Denmark. Great. Awesome. Always good to see people from all over the world checking out New Earth TV Live. All right, so we're going to begin, as we usually do, with some announcements. Beautiful, sacred geometrical clothing, apparel, and accessories imbued with spirit source energy to heal, rejuvenate, detoxify, and strengthen the body. Shop now at healingcodeshop.com.
The latest revelation in alternative healing has arrived. The Healing Code Cards, a spiritual technology unlike anything else. Through the power of sacred geometry imbued with pure source energy, physical ailments can become eliminated and detoxified from your body. 36 cards specifically designed to work on the major areas of the body, encouraging natural recovery and increased vitality. Working with the cards are easy, and their healing results are profound. Download our collection of free sample cards so you can experience results for yourself. And don't forget to view our customer testimonials. Our printed Healing Code card deck is available now with shipping available worldwide. Visit our website at healingcodecards.com.
And of course, another announcement is the Akashic Record sessions are going to be coming back April 30th, so this coming Friday. So this Friday will be the next episode of New Earth TV Live. So I'll be talking about that then as well too. So I've done the Akashic Record sessions in the past. I had to kind of put it aside because other projects were happening, and I wasn't having too much time to do a lot of the Akashic Record sessions, but I'm starting to rearrange my schedule a lot better now. So I'm going to bring in the Akashic Record sessions back, and there's going to be some new additions to the Akashic readings. Part of it is also going to be Vedic astrology as well too. So there's a little hint in Vedic astrology relating to the Akashic readings as well too. So there's going to be a little bit more depth to the Akashic Records readings, more than there ever was before. And there's also going to be the Akashic Healings option. So basically you can have an Akashic reading option, or an Akashic Healings option, or a combo option where you can do both of them. So again, this is going to be launching on April 30th. Looking forward to doing the Akashic Record sessions once again. And again, kind of putting a little bit of a hint of Vedic astrology or Jyotish into it at the same time. So again, more on that on April 30th. I will be sending out a newsletter for everybody that's subscribed for the New Earth Teachings website, talking about Akashic Record sessions and its availability, and you'll be able to order it through the website. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the episode today. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start working with the earth. So another earth guided meditation. So if you all want to join me, as we're going to get into a meditative state. And the first thing we're going to do is just get ourselves nice and comfortable, and just making sure if you're seated, it's a good idea. If you're sitting down, you can do it standing up if you want to, but seated is what I'd recommend. And we can just place our hands upon the center of our chest. And we're just going to take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Now I just want you to bring your focus and awareness down to the bottom of your feet. And I just want you to imagine that your feet chakra, just located at the bottom center of both feet, are opening up. And you're feeling black roots coming out through the bottom of the feet. And they're going deeper and deeper into the earth, connecting directly with the earth's core, directly with the heart of the earth. And just feeling that loving connection between yourself and the earth as you tether, connect directly with Mother Earth. And that you are feeling the oneness between yourself and the earth. Where in this moment now, you are the earth. You are her entire body. You feel everything that is the earth. You feel her internal structure. You feel all life upon her surface. You feel the lands. You feel the oceans. You feel the sky. You feel the atmosphere. You feel everything that the earth is. And just feel that deeper connection between the earth and yourself as you are now just leaving your body. And you are now incarnated as the earth, as this planet. And as you feel the body of the earth, I want you to imagine again that we are just slowly scanning the earth, scanning your earth body from the top all the way down to the bottom, from the inside all the way through the outside. And you're just being aware of any discrepancies. You're being aware of any black liquid, dense energy contained within the areas of the earth. And you're just being aware of this from what you feel upon the surface, for what you feel deep within her, for you are her. And you're just being aware of these pockets of black liquid, dense energy, here and now. You may see them on certain continents. You may see them in the middle of the ocean. You may see them inside the earth. It's all just based upon what you feel as you are the earth, here and now. And we're just going to imagine like we're zooming out of the earth, and we're just seeing the earth in a third-person, omniscient perspective. And just above the earth, we see the black ball. The black ball represents the container that is going to be storing all of the black liquid dense energy that you are currently sensing upon the earth here and now. So as we look at that black ball, we're seeing a black root coming down upon the earth. And that black root is dividing itself and just wrapping around the surface, wrapping around the inside of the earth, going into the northern and southern poles, wrapping around in there as well too, where the entire earth is now being engulfed with the black root. And before we are able to extract all of the black liquid dense energy from the earth, we are firstly going to do the apologetic affirmation. And so you can repeat after me. I apologize to the earth for being neglectful regarding these conditions involving discrepancies, conflicts, and harshness. I ask for Mother Earth's forgiveness, as well as her assistance, to clear away these conditions, releasing them to Spirit, to be purified and forgiven in totality. And so it is. Okay, inhale, exhale. And now that we have done the apologetic affirmation, we can now begin with clearing away that black liquid dense energy. So I want you now just to imagine that you are taking all of that black liquid dense energy that you see from the earth, and it's now being extracted and put up through the roots, storing it directly into the black ball. And we're just going to take 1 minute this time. Usually we take 3. We're just going to take 1 minute this time, just to feel that black liquid dense energy funneling through the black roots and going directly into the black ball. And you are seeing the black ball being filled up with all of this black liquid dense energy. And this black liquid dense energy represents everything that is conflicting, everything that is impure. Physical tension, physical debris, emotional tension, mental tension, spiritual tension. All of it is being funneled up directly into the black ball. And just feeling the black ball now, getting full with all of the black liquid dense energy that you are sending directly into it through the black root. The next step now is connecting to spirit, and we will clear out all of that black liquid dense energy through the black root that you are seeing through your perspective now. I command God's spirit light to cancel out, eliminate, neutralize, and purge all of the black liquid dense energy contained within the black ball, that every participant that is observing this meditation here and now, releasing all of that black liquid energy from their perspectives, clearing it, and bringing it up into source consciousness to be purified and forgiven in totality. Apply. Another inhale, exhale. And now we're going to see that black liquid, or that black ball rather, and all the black roots just slowly dissolving away now. Okay, if you still see a little bit of debris in the black ball that you have, just saying to it repetitively, I love you, I love you, I love you. And just seeing all of that little bit of debris within the black ball disappearing. As it disappears, the black ball and the black roots dissolve away with it. And in its place, we will now see the white ball. The white ball just directly above the earth now. And seeing this white root coming down from the white ball, connecting directly with the earth, going inside and outside of her, just as a black root did. Only this time with the white ball, we are now bringing in positive reinforcement. We are bringing in loving energy directly to the earth. And so I want you now just to imagine that you are just bodiless, that you are just pure consciousness flying throughout the earth, that you are just observing all of the beauty, all of the splendor, all of the happiness, and all of the joy that the earth herself represents. For upon this earth there is no human structures. There are no humans. It is simply between you and the earth in her natural beauty. You feel yourself flying around the oceans, flying around the lands, looking at majestic waterfalls, looking at these beautiful rainforests, looking at these beautiful mountains, seeing her gorgeous sky, seeing all the beautiful things that represent the earth, and just feeling that pure happiness as this bond between you and the earth is divine, is majestic. And you're just taking all of that pure love energy, all of that joy, all of that compassion that you have for the earth, and you're putting it directly into this white ball. It's like your thoughts are bubbles, and they contain this loving energy, and those bubbles are being sent directly to the white ball. As soon as they go into the white ball, they pop, and that white liquid remains inside the white ball. For that white liquid is the manifestation of pure love energy. It's Continue to give your love for the earth, all of her splendor, all of her joy, looking at your Divine Mother, seeing how beautiful she truly is, seeing this beautiful world, and all that she gives to you freely. For she does not charge you anything for being upon her. She does not give you any conflicts. She gives you herself entirely, freely. The mother to the child. And just feel that love, that joy, that compassion, that unconditional love that she has for you. And just put all that into the white ball, here and now. And feel that white ball getting more and more of this white liquid, this pure love energy. As I now connect with Spirit, and we distribute that loving white liquid energy to the earth. I command God's Spirit light to imbue Spirit codes directly into the white ball, into the white loving energy liquid, distributing all of that white liquid energy of love all throughout the entire surface and into the interior of the earth, clearing away all previous areas of discrepancies and bringing complete and total rejuvenation, regeneration, repair, replenishment, purification, and perfection back to the earth, bringing this love energy into her body and restoring it into pure glory, pure perfection. Apply. Inhale, exhale. And just witness now all of that white liquid energy leaving the white ball, going directly into the earth, and just feeling this injection of pure love coming directly into the earth, creating beautiful radiance, lighting up the earth like she is a star. Feeling all of this pure, loving, liquid energy filling her body and radiating, luminescent like a star. And slowly feeling all of that love energy grounding directly into her body, grounding directly into the earth, to be ingrained and clearing away all of that debris and discrepancy noticed previously, bringing her into complete and total restoration, regeneration, purity, and perfection. Now we're going to take a moment just to come back into our bodies, taking a deep breath in, deep breath out, as you return back into the physical human body. As that concludes our connection to the Earth Mass Meditation. And now we're going to move into group healing, where we're going to work with the chakra centers once again. Okay? So now that you're returning back into your body now, you can follow along if you wish. Okay? So we're going to work with the associated glands and cells that connect together with the chakra centers, and we're going to Om chant directly into them. Okay, so for me to do that, I'm just going to take off my headphones. Don't think I really need them anyways, because no one's talking to me. Okay, and we're just going to start off at the root, going all the way up into the crown chakra. All right, so the first thing is we can just place our hands slowly below the navel. Okay, basically we're focusing on the gonads first, right? The genitals. Okay, so for the men, the testes, women, ovaries. And I just want you to close your eyes and just focusing on the color red right now. Okay, it's a nice medium tone of red. It's not too bright, it's not too dull, it's medium color. Okay, and we're just focusing that through the gonads, as the gonads represent the link to the root chakra. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to Om chant, and as we Om chant, we're just going to plug our ears, just like this. Okay, so as our ears are plugged, we're going to do an Om chant, but the The tone that you want to focus on the most is the chant, okay, when we're doing the Om. So I just want you to, again, see that medium tone of red connected directly to the gonad center of your body. Okay, you can plug your ears like this, close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and we Om chant. Okay, so when you're going into that chant, it's like you're vibrating water, right? It's almost like you're looking at the chakra as a liquid. And you're going into that chant, you're feeling it pulsing, it's radiating, this pure energy. So what you're doing is you're purifying the chakra, you're Om chanting in it. What that's doing is that's clearing away all impurities within the gonad root chakra center, okay? So that is the root chakra center. Now we're going to move up into the sacral chakra, which is connected to the Leydig and Hylar cells, okay? So that, again, if you're not too sure of that, I don't want to get too much into it, but you can look up on Google relating to the Leydig cells, the Hylar cells, okay? Leydig for male, Hylar for female, okay? So it basically does connect with the testes, the ovaries as well too, right? Kind of like reproduction cells in that way. And that's what we're focusing on, okay? And that's connected to the sacral. So it's like the creation, the reproduction area altogether, relating to the sacral, right? So connections, relationships, etc. All right. So for this chakra, we're going to see it orange, okay? A nice medium orange, not too bright, not too dull. Just a nice medium tone of the orange color. Once again, plugging our ears and Om chanting directly into the orange ray of the sacral chakra, connected to the Leydig and Hylar cells. Okay, inhale, exhale. Feeling the sacral chakra nice and clear, removing all impurities from the chakra. Okay, now we're going to move up into the solar plexus. Okay, and that is connected to the adrenal glands. All right, and so now we're seeing that medium tone of yellow. Okay, not too bright, not too dull, just right, kind of like a lemon color, like a lemon yellow. Okay, plugging our ears once again. Taking a deep breath in. Inhale, exhale. Feels really refreshing. Feels good. You can't help but smile, right? Okay, so that is the solar plexus. Again, that's connected to the adrenal glands. Moving up now into the heart chakra. Okay, and that is connected to the thymus gland, right? Kind of that butterfly-like shaped gland. Okay, right here. And again, we're seeing that medium green. Okay, so not too bright, not too dull, just right. Medium tone of green, kind of like grass. All right, so just seeing that in your mind right now. Plugging your ears. Om chanting into that chakra. Okay, inhale, exhale. Okay, moving up now to the throat chakra. Okay, colored aqua, and that's connected to the thyroid gland. Right, so seeing that aqua color, that kind of sky blue color within your mind. Plugging your ears again. Om chanting into the throat chakra. Om. exhale. Okay, moving up now to the third eye chakra. Okay, connected to the pineal gland. Seeing that kind of ocean blue color. Okay, just like you're looking at the ocean from above the earth. Seeing that nice deep oceanic blue. Okay, plugging the ears. Connecting now to the third eye chakra. And Om chanting directly into it. Inhale, exhale. Okay, connecting lastly to the crown chakra, which is connected to the pituitary gland. Okay, representing the violet color. Okay, so we're just focusing on the pituitary, just a little bit below the pineal. All right, focusing on the pituitary now is that beautiful violet color. Okay, closing your eyes, seeing that violet color as you plug your ears. Inhale, and Om chanting into the pituitary gland, crown chakra link. Okay, inhale, exhale. And just relax. All right. So you gave yourselves a very good chakra cleaning there. All right. So you're working with all 7 chakra centers, all associated together with their appropriate glands or cells. All right. And I'd say if you just do this once a week, you're doing really well. If you're doing this daily, great. If you just do this once a week, you can just, again, return to this broadcast, grab a hold of the recording, and just do this again with me. Right. So you're just working on clearing away any debris, any impurities, representing emotional debris, mental debris, etc., contained in the chakra centers. So we're just clearing it out. It's like we're polishing crystal, we're refining it. All right. So thank you, guys. Thank you for joining me for that group healing, for the chakra clearing, and for the earth meditation as well too. So I know people are getting eager because they're already asking questions for Adronis. So we are going to go ahead and get into that now. So again, let me just take a moment to go into the chat now. And I'm just going to scroll up and then just kind of work my way down. All right. So, hello everybody once again. You're from Florida, from Michigan. Great. Wonderful. All right, so I'm just going to scroll down here. Let's see what we got. Yeah, so now you guys can ask questions either to myself or to Adronis, whatever you feel is best for you. Okay. Okay, here's a question here from Thrive. Thrive says, "Hi Brad, can Adronis speak about weather manipulation, drought, fires? Can it be confirmed that it isn't natural?" Okay, I could pretty much answer your question, but as you asked for Adronis, then yes, I can go ahead and bring him through, and he can share a little bit regarding weather manipulation, drought, fires, etc. Okay, he has talked about this in the past, especially when California was having fires and was having drought as well too. But anyways, I'll bring him in, and he can share some insight on this. Take some water first. Terra Soul Star Sirius Adronis. We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning into this broadcast through your internet collective consciousness. We thank you very much to the one known as Thrive for your question about weather manipulation technology. Has this happened? Is this still happening? Is it true that this type of technology exists? Well, yes. A lot of it is involving the idea of scalar technology, very similar to what you would know as your HARP, quite commonly. However, the idea of that weather manipulation technology is not as frequently utilized as it once was, simply because it's under different management right now. But there was a time, as you would know in your past, to where weather manipulation technology was being utilized. There was also the idea in that sense of certain types of weaponized satellite systems that would also utilize certain forms of microwave beams that could therefore emit certain degrees of intense heat. There is also what you would know as directed energy weapons that could also create certain forms of fires that have taken place in the past. So yes, there has been various types in regards to weather manipulation, or in that sense pertaining to the idea of drought or creating fires, or even creating the idea of earthquakes, shifting tectonic vibrations as well too. All of this technology exists and has been existing for quite some time, going back well into your 1950s and 1940s. So this has been something that has been around, but a lot of it has been, as we would say, confiscated and being brought into new management, therefore not being used in regards to corrupt matters relating to ploys, agendas of that nature. It is certainly much more at a level of minimalization at this time. All right? We thank you. Okay. So what I'm going to do, guys, is because, it takes some time for me to bring Adronis in, at least 30 seconds or so, is I'm going to kind of go into a kind of a medium-like state with him, if there are questions with him, which is kind of just me not having to go all the way with Adronis, just like what you saw, right? So it's kind of like I'm just connecting with him on a medium level. So if there are questions with him, questions for him in that way I can just kind of tune him to him without having to go all the way into channeling, and that way it just saves us time, so we can go into a little bit more questions. Okay? You'll see what I'm talking about when I do it. All right? Okay. So here's another question for Adronis from L.A. Mills. Adronis, can you talk about zero-point energy and other forms of non-carbon energy we could be using? Thanks. Well, the idea of zero-point energy relates to connecting directly to what you would know as vacuum technology, working in creating a vacuum, working in being able to harness the energies that are abundant within the universe itself. This technology is already available, but as we have talked about, there will be certain administrative heads in time that will deliver it to certain forms of education centers and universities, to where they will be creating certain degrees of technology that are in relationship to what is being discussed relating to zero-point energy technology. This will still be some time before it is brought into an effectiveness relating to public showing. There are still other forms of technologies right now that must be on the way out first, or reaching a greater state of decline first. As they reach a greater state of decline, this will relate to the idea of alternative technologies that are far more efficient, that are built on a much more larger scale, that can therefore be introduced. However, this will happen nation by nation. It is not as what you would refer to as an instantaneous worldwide rollout. There will be certain countries. Russia may be first, Germany may be another, India may be another, China in time may also be another. But they are working together in bringing this out through certain forms of education centers, through certain universities, because there is restructuring happening within a great deal of these education centers and universities, again moving into new forms of administrative management, to where technologies like this can be brought out on a much more, as you would say, organic level, to where again the idea of retrieving much of this technology from hidden vaults, underground vaults, technologies left behind through deep underground military bases, may not be in that sense feasible. Because again, this can relate to the idea of sabotage. This can relate to the idea of intrusion upon bringing in these technologies. So the idea is that as they are organically produced through certain forms of umbrellas under education centers, this creates a veil of safety on a much more greater level. This is the plan within the years ahead. So you will be experiencing zero-point technology. When, in that sense, certainly is the question. But as we stated, it will not be right away. There needs to be a greater transition in the declining of current energy systems to therefore give a window of opportunity for newer systems to be brought in. During this time, again, appropriate for each nation, there will be the opportunity of introduction through such systems that are in development. We thank you. Okay, so what you guys just witnessed there was a medium connection with Adronis. I've done this before as well too. It's not me going all the way into channeling. It's kind of just me kind of sifting in between my own conscious self and Adronis's energy. Okay, just makes it a little bit easier. So I'm just not taking a long time to bring him in all the way through a channeling state. Okay, kind of similar to like what you guys see me do with Athena. Okay, with empathic interfacing. It's kind of that same degree here with Adronis. All right, so let me just go down to thank you again, Ellie, for your question. Okay, this one's from Aseem Deal. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. They ask, can Adronis describe and help us understand the most commonly encountered levels of consciousness or beings by humans who take DMT, like machine elves and such? Okay, one moment here. We would say that if you are still looking at levels of consciousness, you are still limiting consciousness. The idea of any of your substances that relate to the idea of DMT or psilocybin or any other means do not have bars of limitation. They do not have a ceiling. The ceiling is your own ego. Therefore, when you move into these altered states, utilizing the idea of substances to assist in your enhancement of understanding a greater state of perception based upon co-creation relating to that substance in question, that it brings you into the greatest heights that you are able to enable within yourself. Many of you look at levels of consciousness, and there are no levels. Consciousness is consciousness. The levels you create are based upon the barriers that you are unwilling to go beyond. Therefore, it is not the idea of looking at DMT or psilocybin or any other form of degree of substance, MDMA, etc., that is limiting. It is you yourself that is the limit. Therefore, moving into these levels of expanded states can take you directly to God, because God is not a journey. The idea of higher consciousness is not a journey. It's available to you right now. It is for you to discover the barriers and the plates that you put around the ideas of consciousness to give it levels. It has no levels. It is like looking at your ocean. You do not have levels relating to your ocean. You have the idea of depth. For you can go as deep into the ocean as you wish, but you are the ones who put up these walls, who put up these barricades, who utilize these belief systems to restrict your capability of going deeper into grand consciousness, because that's all that exists. There is no conscious self, there is no subconscious, there is no unconscious or superconscious. Everything simply is consciousness. How you determine the barriers is based upon the limitations that you have infused within yourself, based upon those ideas of conflicting matters. Those limitations applied. So it is not to say that DMT will only take you so far. It can take you right to God. But you are the one that is the driver here. You are the one that is going to God. It is through your own limitations that produces this natural level of limitation relating to consciousness. Consciousness has no limitation. It is an ocean, and you are inside that ocean right now. How deep you want to go is up to you, not the substance. All right? Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Sam, for your question. Okay. Okay, here's a question here from Love Movement. Okay, question for Adronis. It's kind of a personal question, but it's something that many of us go through, so it's okay to share here. Love Movement says, question for Adronis. My also beloved mother has left her body about 5 months ago. I'm still grieving greatly. What can I do to heal better and faster? Thank you so much. Okay. We would say to Love Movement that you are not actually grieving for your mother who has transitioned. You are grieving for yourself because you're left behind. You see? This is why many of you grieve. You grieve simply because you feel that you're being left behind. That soul has now returned back into their true beingness. They are not suffering where they are. You are suffering because you feel an absence from their physical presence. That's the only reason you're grieving. You're grieving for yourself. You're not grieving for your mother, because where she is, there is no pain. She has no body. She is her pure self. She is in the heavenly realms, connecting with family, connecting with loved ones, connecting with paradise. While you feel you're down here, and you feel that absence relating to her. So the idea here is that you want to celebrate life. You want to celebrate your connection that you have had with your mother and still do have. She has not left you behind. Those whom you love very, very dearly, who have transitioned past this plane, have never left your side. Love is what bonds you. The relationship that you hold between her and you is still there. It's a cord. It's a tether. It's a bond. But again, many of you still look too much into the materialistic reality. That if they don't have a body here, well, they must be gone. It is no more different than your analogy that you have radio signals upon your planet, yet when you have a radio device, you're able to pick up a radio transmission. But you can't see those radio wave signals. Nonetheless, you're receiving the transmission. The same thing goes in relating to your transitioned loved one. Just because you do not see them, it does not mean that they are not with you. It is now time for you to step up your relationship with your loved one. It is now time for you to move much more deeper into the spiritual world, where you feel her, where you call her in, where you feel her love all around you. And she is now capable of bringing so much love to you, more so than when she was in a body. She is now able to be with you every single moment. But many of you are caught up in the illusion of grief because you are only seeing your 5 sense reality. You are not grieving for your loved one. You are grieving for yourselves. You are at a loss for yourselves. They are not in pain. Your loved one has returned to paradise, has returned to heaven, has returned to God, because they are their true selves again. It's you being left behind. And this is what you have been indoctrinated through programming in your reality, is that when someone leaves this earth, we need to mourn. We need to grieve. No, that is not going to help you. And that is not going to help them. Because do you know what many of them are saying when they leave the body? Don't grieve for me. Celebrate my life. Show happiness, because I'm still here with you. I can speak through you. I can share my thoughts through you. I can share my feelings through you. I can be within your space through you. So you have been indoctrinated with a very deep psychological operation pertaining to the idea of the passing of your loved ones, because you do not understand death. You do not understand transitioning. Nobody dies. You have never, ever experienced death by what you believe it is. Just a blip, non-existence, and that's it. You have never experienced that. Even your science is admitting that those who have transitioned, first of all, lose several ounces of their body at the time of death. That is the idea of their light. That is their soul leaving the body. And that your science is much more now in support of the idea of others who are able to go into another universe after passing. But they are still connected together with you, because it is that bond of love that you two share. So why do you grieve? Why do you mourn when you realize that you are an eternal, infinite being? Can you answer that? The reason is because you're grieving and mourning for yourself. Because you are ignorant to the idea about what truly exists beyond the material world. And when you therefore work with that ignorance and clear away the veils here, realizing my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my best friend is still with me. They are here. They have never left. You have to understand your bond of love. It is more powerful than you can ever imagine. And it is about working with that love, honoring those memories, celebrating that physical life that that loved one had with you. Why don't you do this? Why are you not happy that they have returned to the divine? Because you're going to go there at some point as well. Be happy for the idea of their passing. Celebrate it. Honor it. Honor their life. And honor the love that you have for them here and now, because they can still be a part of your reality. They haven't gone anywhere. They've only changed form. That is the idea. All right? We thank you. Okay. Thank you, Love Movement, for that. All right, so let's go down to the next question here. Okay, Val Madness says, Adronis, what's your perspective on the octopus race and their relationship to extraterrestrial life? Well, we thank you once again for your question, Val. The idea of the octopus species, as you would refer to, is that they serve much more of a greater intelligence than you may realize. You have to understand that the octopus itself is actually capable of performing mathematics. It is actually capable of problem solving. It has, in that sense, a very high sentient-like intelligence. So the idea of the octopus in that sense is that it is able to actually devise, it is able to problem solve, it is able to perform these calculations as well too. Now therefore their connection to other extraterrestrial races, well, that all depends. Because many of them are still very, very grounded to the earth, and they work together with the earth. They perform tasks with the earth as well too. So the idea is that they still possess an intelligence that many of you are unaware of. Because you have a sentient-like species, like the octopus or like the dolphin or like the whale, it does not mean that they're always chatting together with extraterrestrials. Do you know who they're chatting with the most? The earth. That's the idea. The octopus are the problem solvers. The dolphins themselves are the synapses stabilizers of the earth. It is through the dolphins and the whales working together that is actually balancing the harmonics of the planet. So they are doing work that you don't even realize. Their involvement in that sense is that they are stabilizing, as it were, the brain of the earth. They represent synapsis maintenance, synapsis balancing, synapsis enhancement. In fact, they too work with grounding energies coming into your oceans, because it is the oceans that actually have the greatest importance relating to the idea of buffering yourselves on a different vibrational level. Why do you think you conduct many of your vibrational experiments utilizing the idea of water, or looking at it in the idea of a ripple or a liquid effect? Because that is like the fluid of the brain. And that is exactly what the dolphins and what the whales do. and the octopus, again, are problem solvers. They all work together. Does not have to be physically, but they are working together energetically through fields. So it is not always about extraterrestrial connections. Their connections are much more in alignment with the Earth because they're doing what they have come here to do. That's the idea. All right? Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Val. Okay. Question for Adronis. I'm getting all these questions for Adronis. It's good. I'm glad because I'm able to bring him in through this mediumship way, so it's a lot easier for me to tackle a lot more questions here. Len says, question for Adronis, is there sex and romance in the fourth density or fifth dimension? And how different is it from what we experience on 3D Earth? Thank you very much. And if we were to put it this way, when you are able to go off into the dream plane at night, do you not have romantic or sexual dreams? That's the exact same thing. Again, the idea is that many of you are very confused by the idea of different densities because, again, you're still looking at things with levels. When you're looking at the idea of a density, you're looking into the idea of a different realm, a different plane, yes, because it operates on a much more higher capacity. It's no more different than if you're looking at this analogy, that you have your computers from your 1980s decades. They run a little bit slow. They're very, very sluggish in that way. And now you take one of your new computers that you have in this current day and age. It runs much faster. It's able to do broadband connections. It's able to bring downloads just like that on a much more higher capacity level. Are you still experiencing a computer system between those two analogies? Yes, you are. Just one has a lot more depth to it. One has a lot more acceleration to it. One gives you a greater framework to work with. Well, that's all it is. Rather than looking at the old clunky 1980s computer system from your 1980s decade, you're now looking at this new refurbished system in your current day and age. It's the same idea here, is that when you're moving into other dimensions, there's more information. There's a greater depth perspective that's taking place. You're moving into a lightness relating to that other density, that other dimension, that other plane in that way. But again, the whole idea is that you can do much here in the third density, but you're having a greater viewpoint. You're having a greater depth perspective when you're moving into the dream plane, the astral realm, which you term as the fourth density, yes. The idea of sexuality and romance, the idea of partnerships, become possible, of course, just as they are here. But you are looking at it on a much more deeper level. So again, when you're actually in a state of romance, when you truly love a partner here, you are seeing your connection that goes beyond the physical body. You're not just tuning into each other's physical body. You're tuning into each other's hearts. That does not play a correlation with the level of dimensions. That is the idea of soul bonding. That is the idea of energy coming together. It is a fusion. It is the idea where you are within one another. You feel that connection within one another. And that too happens in these other densities. You see, it is not about trying to put a chalk line and saying, oh, this must only happen in fourth density. This must only happen in fifth density. This must only happen in sixth density, etc. You are getting diluted. It's no more different than the answer we have given pertaining to the idea of DMT. When you go off into the dream plane, you are able to look at much more non-linearity of existence. And that is the idea of what you are experiencing. In the idea of a fourth density, yes. But the idea of the experiences go beyond the threshold capacity of a dimensional line, a border, a boundary that humans create. There is no limitation to consciousness, only the limitations that you impose. So yes, you will experience much more lightness. Your body will become much more lighter because you're operating on a much more deeper, accelerated degree of dimension. Yes. But this does not limit your ability to create. This does not limit your ability to perceive. This does not limit your ability to have all of these forms of relationships and experiences. They still exist in that way, but you're experiencing them on a much more deeper level. And that which we cannot really explain to you because you have to be there to feel it for yourself. We cannot really always explain these ideas for you on a logical level because you won't get it. Your language is insufficient for it because you still don't understand the idea of nonlinearity. You still don't understand the nature of infinity. This language is incompetent to that. So the idea is that as you perceive your dreams and everything that happens within those dreams, you're getting much more of an understanding to the dimension that you speak of and the experiences that are there. All right? We thank you. Okay. Thank you, Len, for your question. Okay, here's one from Wendy. Wendy asks, can you ask Adronis if cancer, COVID, and diabetes are all indeed parasites, not viruses, and can be killed with anti-parasites? We thank you very much, Wendy, for your question. The idea, firstly, of what you would know as cancer is that it is a fungus. All right? Cancer is a fungus. The idea of what you would refer to as the coronavirus, well, it is not so much in the idea of a parasite, but it is in that sense relating to a viral agent. But it is something that is actually injected into you. It is something that is actually consumed in you. It is something that is actually brought into the body in that particular way. So when you're looking at the idea of diabetes, the idea of diabetes is an effect. It's not an actual parasite. When you're diabetic in that way, it's because there has been an effect, a result, relating to other degrees of impairments within the body. The idea of a toxic pancreas, the idea of a toxic liver, the idea to where many of your organs are in distress, where there is pollutants within the body. So again, many of you confuse the idea of parasites or viruses or bacteria in that sense when they all have their own particular forms of divisions. They all have their particular forms of functionalities as well too. But the whole idea of why any of those exist is because the body's in chaos. As the body is in chaos, these are where these particular forms of invaders, intruders, fungicides in that sense, therefore breed. Because the body in that sense is not being maintained appropriately as it should. So it's not the idea of looking so much in the idea of, is this a virus, is this a bacteria, is this a parasite, is this a pathogen? It's looking into the idea in that sense of talking to the body itself. Do not focus on the intruder. Focus on how you are able to repair the body together as a whole, rather than the idea of focusing, this must be a virus, this must be a bacteria, this must be a fungicide, this must be an invader, this must be this must be that. Again, you're looking too much into compartmentalization. Look into the body of the whole. When you're working with the liver, completely work on regenerating the entire liver through any means that you wish, be it through the idea of your food plans, your exercise, your meditation, your focus, your willpower. That's what matters. Focus on the entirety of the body, and that is what brings it into harmony. All right? We thank you. Okay, Wendy, thank you very much. Okay. So I'm just going down for other questions here. Okay, we got a contribution here from Sarva Yoga Tarot. Thank you for the contribution. Okay, she asks, will I physically survive the coming fascism in Austria, or will my spirit shift to the other side? Sarva, it is not up to another being to tell you whether you survive or whether you don't. You see? That is completely devoiding your capability of being a free will being. The whole idea in that sense is why you ask such a question is because you have such little faith in yourself. You have to ask somebody, oh, it's so bad right now, is this going to be the end of me? You are completely devoiding your ability as a creator by asking such a question. It is not about another entity telling you you're going to meet your fate. You see? That becomes an immaturity. It is for you to understand that what you are going through, that you are looking at something that now doesn't work. Because this is how you have been observing your reality for so very long. If I keep looking at the outside, if I keep looking at these reports, if I keep talking to other people, if I keep looking around all these things, I see how bad things are getting. Oh my goodness, it's so horrible, it's so horrible. Will I survive? Will I survive? You are already telling yourself that you are invalidating the very perspective that you have been using to bringing you into that type of conclusion right now. Which means the perspective that you currently have no longer works. You need to shift perspectives. You need to move to higher ground. You need to elevate yourself. It is not to ignore these questions. It is not to ignore these concerns or these ploys that are taking place, but is to understand that you need to look at it from a greater depth. And that greater depth comes from the idea of heart-based understanding. It comes through the idea of reinforcement. You are reinforcing your elevated view through the idea of a state of appreciation that you have for yourself, love that you have for yourself. For Brad has talked about this constantly with the idea of the BCR technique, with the idea of elevating yourself and lifting yourself up. You are looking at a screen, you are hearing people, and you're talking about how chaotic things are getting. But you're only getting that from a grapevine perspective. You're not looking into your heart to understand what you can do to remedy all of this. You refuse to listen to the inner being. Whereas we're telling you it's time to embrace the inner being. It's time for you to look inside your heart. It's time for you to, yes, acknowledge that these things are happening. But as you start to talk to the heart and you go into the quiet, it is going to guide you through the entire process if you learn to listen. You have to calm down the panic. You have to turn it down like it's a volume dial. And you need to start shifting yourself into a higher depth perspective through the nature of reinforcement. Know that you are creator. Know that you are the true self. Know that you are God. As you know this, this is introducing new synapses. This is starting to shift your brain. You start to work with certain breathing practices. Deep breath in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Deep breath out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In, 7, out, 9. And you are bringing yourself into a new alignment, which means the current perspective that you have pertaining to a survival mentality has run its course. It is no longer efficient to guiding you through life because you are afraid of losing your life. You are fearful of the nature of survival. Your perspective doesn't serve you anymore. It's time for a new perspective. It's time for change. It's time for a shift. Brad has already shared how this is done through the videos that he provides. Please look into them. Acknowledge what is happening, yes, and reinforce. And bring yourself into a greater depth perspective and go into that quiet. And the heart will guide you through this the entire way. When you are in that degree, nothing can harm you at all. You are impervious to anything that is happening through the environment because you have decided to make a stand relating to a greater prominence of vibration that you exist within. And that is like a cocoon that now dampens your entire reality. And now you move into a greater perspective. Even though I know these things are happening, it is going to lead to a greater change. And I am going to be here to see that change. There you go. Now you're talking like a creator. Rather than shifting back and forth concerning about survival debris, survival illusion. That again is a very, very base frequency. And that is not going to help you. Shift higher. You have the capability. You are God. All right? Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Sarva. Okay, let me just go down the list here a bit more. We're probably going to take about 2 or 3 more questions, guys. We're going to wrap up. Okay, here's one from Davijan. Okay, Davijan says, Adronis, what would be your explanation for the Big Bang or the start of the universe? Thank you, love and light. We thank you very much, Davijan, for your question. You have to understand that the idea of a Big Bang is no more different than how you receive inception. Do you see? Many of you cling to the idea of a Big Bang theory in the nature of the universe, when actually all you're really doing is looking at the nature of inception itself. You're looking in the idea more so of a microcosmic blueprint to how the idea of how an inception, a creative spark, comes into you. It is like an explosion. But see, many of you get into that idea. We will say this: the universe has always been. It has never had a beginning. It has never had an end. Because to say that the universe has a beginning and has an end would be no more different than telling your soul that it has a beginning and it has an end. You see, you are the one that is the observer here. As the observer, you are the one that is bringing about the idea of the thought stream that creates what you would know as your reality matrix. The reality matrix, in that sense, is all part of yourselves having this experience in this lifetime, in this reality, in this construct. Therefore, you try to measure it. And therefore, you look throughout your telescopes, you look through your satellites, you see all the stars, you see all the galaxies, all throughout this universe, and saying, well, how did all this begin? What made you think that it began? What makes you think that it's going to end? When you look at the nature of cycles, the cycles themselves never end. You have cycles that bring about the enunciation of change. Just like you have your seasons upon your planet. You have your fall, you have your winter, you have your spring, you have your summer, and it just repeats again and again. But are all of those cycles of the seasons the same? No. They change, they evolve, they transform. Therefore, the idea of looking at the idea of a beginning or an end of the universe is inaccurate. The universe has always been. It goes through the nature of cycles to bring about what it is right now through the thought stream. But again, many of your scientists say, well, there has to be some type of beginning with the idea of the universe. No, there isn't, because there's no beginning to you, and there's no end to you. So what makes you think that there would be a beginning and an end to the universe? You see? It is all part of belief. It is linearity that humanity is experiencing, and they attempt to enforce that upon all of the nature of the universe when it does not work that way. So again, you have misconceptions in the idea of the universe. The universe is a creation of God, yes. It is a construct, yes. But it is infinite, for it has always been. For space and time are not dominant over the universe. The universe is dominant over space and time. Many of you still feel that space and time are absolute, that there must be a beginning, a middle, and an end. No, it doesn't work that way, because all you ever have is now. You don't have yesterday. You don't have tomorrow. You don't have last week. You don't have next week. Here and now. Everything exists. There is no beginning. There is no end. There are cycles. There are circles of change that comes through the idea of your own states of conscious evolution. The idea of looking about how you are expanding yourself and looking in grander degrees and seeing how that unfolds collectively and seeing new forms of degrees, because that's all just you going through different spans of change through the degrees of these cycles. But the universe has always been. Never been a beginning, never been an end, because the universe doesn't work that way. You don't work that way. So it's something for you to look into a little more. All right? We thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for your question, Davijan. Okay. So we're going to take 2 more questions, guys, and we're going to wrap up. This one is from Anders. Anders says, is it possible to transcend physical death, moving to higher densities without the physical body having to die first? We thank you for your question. You have to understand that the idea of your physical body as it exists right now is a conveyance appropriate for this dimension. That is how it functions. Therefore, as you start to move up into different dimensions in that way, it's because your body has been calibrated and is therefore coherent to exist in those particular types of dimensions. Now, many of you in that sense have not had the mental prowess to do that because you have not been taught this. You have only been taught to live in a modern world where the idea of working together with your body and working together with your mind on highly advanced levels have not been available to you. For example, in the idea of many of you who want to move from 3rd density to 4th density, the 3rd density body must die, so the 4th density body therefore becomes your new apparatus. It becomes the instrument that is appropriate for 4th density. That is how it works. It is not the idea of taking your body with you, because your body as a construct right now is 3rd density compliant. It is when the body itself shifts into a 4th density, it is like a shell within a shell. A new shell in that sense is formed, just like a snake that sheds its skin. When the snake sheds its skin, it does not stick around and still hang around the old skin. It lets it go. That 3rd density version analogy pertaining to the snake shedding its skin, that old skin has died. And therefore a new skin has been born. And you're bringing yourself into this new skin, this new canvas, this new apparatus, this new instrument, because it is compliant with that dimension. That is how it works. When your yogis and your mystics and your sages have been able to go into different realities, they have not taken their physical bodies with them. They go through a transient body. They make that transient body, they can make it as physical as the physical body. And they can go into these different realms while their physical body remains here. Their physical body goes into a type of stasis. And they are working together with their transient form to go to all different types of dimensions, realities. And at some point, if they choose to come back, they will come back into the body. In fact, many of their disciples have actually mistaken the idea of the physical body dying, when in fact the body was not dead. It was in stasis. Therefore, the idea is that they bury their master. The master comes back a certain time later and actually finds themselves to be buried alive because they thought that he was dead. Wasn't. He was in stasis. So when you are moving from a dimension into another dimension, you need to have compliant bodies that exist within those dimensions because that's how they operate. You cannot take a fish out of water and expect it to exist upon the land. It will die. It's not calibrated for that effect. So the idea in that sense is what the masters do is they take their transient bodies with them. And they will explore all different types of dimensions. They can take these transient bodies and do incredible things. They can go directly into the sun. They can go to different planets, different worlds, different realms that are without explanation, looking at these transient bodies. They can even work together with their physical body to shift them into different degrees of, as you would say, locations upon your planet. That appears as teleportation, when in fact, from their perspective, they're not really teleporting. From their perspective, they are just bending the molds of 3rd density and moving themselves into different degrees. Still existing within the dimensional framework, but being able to bend it through the idea of advanced thought, structure, discipline. You all have the capability of doing this, but you have never been taught how to do it. This requires a great deal of inner work. This requires a great deal of mental prowess. You have to learn to quiet your mind. You have to learn to focus on a single thought and to empower that single thought greatly, to charge it like a star, because this is a certainty relating to this thought. And through the years of training that they go through, they are able to do this. You're able to hear of masters who are able to shift themselves, where they're able to go from one location to another almost instantaneously, where they're able to levitate, where they're able to bilocate. It goes on and on. These are all thoughts. Being able to walk on water, being able to walk upon hot coals, etc. All of this can be done because it's all just a charging of thought. It's mental prowess. That's the idea. But when you're moving into an entirely different density, no, you must have a compliant body to exist within that density. Those of you that go into fourth density, your third density body will be left behind because that is a skin being shed. And you're moving into a new fourth density compliant body. Many of you are still concerned about this because you're still afraid of death. You don't even understand what death is. It is not the blipping out of non-existence. It's transformation. It's going beyond a boundary. Just as we've talked about, relating to one who has lost their mother, that she is still here. But you are moving into another body for those who are being fourth density compliant. It happens. It happens almost instantaneously through the shift that is to come. All right? We thank you. Okay, thank you, Enders. So we're going to take one last question. We're going to wrap up, guys. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to end this with this one here. This is from David of Shield. Adronis, why does humanity embrace evilness every chance it gets? What's the hang-up on evilness? We thank you, David of Shield. Here's the thing. They don't know that what they are doing is evil. You see? Everybody thinks that what they are doing represents a righteousness. Even the ones that you feel are your controllers or your opposers or your elites or your globalists, they do not think in any shape, way, or form that what they are doing is evil. Not a single one of them. They feel that this is a righteous path, that this is about a prophecy and they're fulfilling that for the goodness of everybody. Nobody will really admit, very few will really admit that they're doing evil things. You see? Because it's all perspective. They have worked to justify every particular type of action that they have done. They have worked to justify why they do what they do. And evil certainly isn't in the category of that. They feel it's a justification. It's as we have stated, you're the only one here. What do we mean by that? That you're the only observer in your reality. You cannot observe what another person is doing. You cannot just pop into their reality and suddenly take over as an observer. You can't do that. Therefore, you are only looking at yourselves. When you see the idea of something that is disharmonious to you and you react to it, it's about you looking at that reaction. Because that is the very impairment that is causing you to look frantically at this situation. When you outgrow that situation and become non-reactionary, you see a greater depth to it that you could not see before, and therefore you can educate. Therefore you can inform, because you've seen something much deeper, and you help others in that way. But it does not even have to come to that. It's simply the idea that you have seen a greater depth perception beyond what you have been able to heal. In this way, we will say that there really is no evil upon your planet whatsoever. It's the idea of perspective. Because each of you see these things happen and say, oh my goodness, this must be evil. The universe does not brand its actions and agendas and events. You do. You're the observer. As you're the observer, you're the one that brands these things in that certain way. You give it meaning. Everything that you experience through the outside world is neutral. It does not have a meaning assigned to it. You're the one giving it meaning. You're the one giving it assignment. You're the one looking at somebody and saying, oh, this person just hit an animal. They must be evil. But again, you're looking at that and you're looking at your reaction, which means you're not aware of the entire situation that has unfolded. You immediately place judgment upon that. Now, we're not saying in that sense for you all to go and do that and to attack an animal. But it's the idea in that sense that you look at something and you instantly look upon the surface and saying, oh, wait, that's evil. Rather than the idea of actually being able to look into a greater depth perspective to understand why things happen the way that they do. Why you attract these particular people the way that you do. And what you can now do to bring about a greater remedy to the situation. You see, it's about looking into the depth of yourself. And we say this with the greatest respect. Many of you are still looking at reality in a very, very shallow manner. You are not willing to look at the depth of things. And as long as you continue to look at things on a hollow, shallow level, you will never understand why things happen the way that they do. And by not understanding, you're going to continue to repeat these cycles throughout your life. Because you do not understand how it comes to feeling, how it comes to thought, how it comes to choice, how it comes to action, how it comes to result. The 5 acts of manifestation. It is about looking into the feelings. It is about looking into the depth. When you react to something, that's a feeling. And therefore you become out of alignment with that feeling because you want to condemn somebody. They feel that they have to be punished. They have to pay for what they've done. What is that going to do? You become no better than the accused themselves by looking at it that way. You see? It is not about the idea of evil. You look at something and you say it's evil. The universe never sees it that way. You see it that way because you are so completely seduced to the idea of branding everything with meaning. And that something has to have a meaning here. This person does this mean thing to this person. They are evil and they must be punished. We need to throw them in jail. We need to starve them. We need to dehydrate them. We need to make them suffer. You are no better than the accused by thinking in that way. It's the idea of looking into the depth of your feelings rather than enticing the flow of stimulation outside of yourself, feeling that person's done this and this is what needs to happen to them. You see, many other civilizations have gone through similar things of what you've gone through because they used to label their own people in certain ways as well. But they were able to evolve past that. And do you know how they were able to evolve past that? Because they were able to look at those things that they were doing pertaining to the labeling of people and saw how absolutely idiotic and stupid it was. And they evolved past it. It is an immaturity. It is a stupidity. It is what you have been bred in through your common programs to punish. Many of you refer to it as draconian systems. And that is the nature. As soon as you brand somebody saying they've done this, rather than going deeply into your own feelings and looking into something and being able to act upon that with greater depth, to rectify the entire situation so it doesn't have to repeat again. That is the way. But as you continue to look at these things on a shallow level, and you continue to say, no, that person did that, that should be their punishment. This person did this, so that should be their punishment. Well, then you're just going to repeat the wheel again, because another person's going to come along and they're going to do something similar, and it could be worse. And another person's going to come along and they're going to do something worse. And you do the same thing. Brand them, brand them, brand them, brand them. The cycle returns and it gets worse and worse and worse because you're not listening. You are not willing to look into your feelings. You are not willing to look into your thoughts. You are not looking into your magnetics about how you bring these people into your reality. You're not listening about how this is actually all just happening within yourself. You ignore that. And you go into this level of idiocy, where you start branding and accusing and blaming and hurting other people. Because, well, they did this, so I have to hurt them. They did this, so I have to punish them. Evil is a perspective. It is your own perspective, because you're not willing to look into your own feelings, your own thoughts, your own choices, your own actions to bring about a greater resolution. That's how you stop the cycle relating to a distortion. The cycle becomes refreshed because you finally understand. You don't have to keep repeating it year after year, decade after decade, lifetime after lifetime, because you finally have realized this is all because of what I've been feeling inside myself. Yes. And now you shift into a new perspective. And now you educate people in that new perspective. And now you're teaching them because there is such a presence about you. There is such a love about you. And that really sticks into people. When you come together with a place of love, a place of solace, a place of humility, that is what brings about a greater clarity. It's the idea of just being present with people, not even having to say a word, and your presence speaks volumes, hence the meaning of silent teachings. Something for you all to look at, something for you all to reflect upon. We thank you for this interaction, and we will now conclude. Goodbye for now. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. Thank you for participating with the meditations today. I really appreciate it. It's a good question to end on, I think, as well, too. We all have to look at that. I'm doing that myself, right? There's times where I'm being stupid, right? And I have to look at that. I have to look at that idiocy. We all have that. So like I said, it's being able to look in reality on a much more deeper level, on being able to look into the idea about what is reacting. Reaction is one of the greatest distortions that we have, right? It's being able to look at these things when we're hurt by something and finding out exactly all the cords that is binding us to the situation that has caused that, right? It's fine, when you're feeling happy and you're feeling excited, that's still a reaction in that way, because even though that is a much more happier polarity, it still is a polarity in that way. So we have to kind of just move ourselves into the center, right? When we're basically feeling fundamentally negative, yes, we move into the fundamentally positive to reinforce. But when we're there, it's not about getting overly excited. It's not about getting overly agitated. It's about being able to look at that, right? So this is, again, when you're doing the BCR technique, when you're doing the EQ method, all of these things, it's teaching you that, right? It's being able to bring everything together in a state of conjunction. And now if I'm feeling that there's a string pulling at me and I'm starting to react in that way, I'll go ahead and I'll react, but then I'll look at that, right? We're not trying to restrict our reactions. We're in fact looking at them, right? We look at that reaction and say, okay, well, I reacted to this situation. There's a huge agitation regarding this person. I need to look into that because what is this telling me about myself? I go in, I look at that, I acknowledge all these things, I bring it into love. I bring positive reinforcement in because that represents a negative orientation. I align it and I come back to center. And we repeat and we repeat and we repeat. Some people will say, well, Brad, I have a hard time with the definitions of what spirit is trying to tell me, right? There's times where I feel like I attract this kind of person in my life and I've had bad relationships and all of a sudden I'm trying to start a relationship and all of a sudden it shuts down. What's happening? It's because there's something within you that's uneasy about a relationship, right? Spirit speaks to you in the most simplest ways possible, right? But we want to be able to have some type of face-to-face direct conversation with Spirit and saying, Spirit, for God's sakes, just tell me flat out, what the hell am I doing? Spirit doesn't have a body, right? Spirit has to show you through the example of an event, right? Because it's showing it through you. You're really Spirit's body, right? But it has to show you this and saying, okay, well, here I am with another date and it went horrible, and it's like other dates I've had in the past and it just doesn't feel right. What's going on? What's wrong with these people? It's not wrong with these people. What is it that you're not willing to bring out of yourself? You need to listen. You need to be aware of how that entire situation unfolds, because now you're looking at and saying that person doesn't feel like you're paying attention to them. That person doesn't feel like you're in a right state of mind. It feels like you're drifting, feels like you're not present. Well, then there are some ideas for you to take in with yourself so that you can better yourself, so that you can acknowledge these things, so that you can reinforce these things, and you become evolved. And now the cycle of distortion starts to minimalize, and a new cycle becomes born, right? That's what it's all about. We just have to learn the language of how Spirit speaks to us, because it speaks to us through reality itself. All right? Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for being here today. So I will be back next Friday for another New Earth TV Live. Maybe some videos to come as well, too. And again, this coming Friday is the launching of the Akashic Record session. So I'm looking forward to that as well, too. If there are any other updates, I'll keep you guys in the know. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Sunday. And I'll speak to you again in another perspective of the now. Take care.